Happy Friday, good people. Welcome to the Good Wife podcast. My name is Rachel. It's a delight to have you back. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. If you are not, please consider subscribing and give this episode a thumbs up. I'm back again with some interesting humans. We are going to be talking about friendship. And before I get into what we are going to be discussing and framing it, I want to introduce the people that I'm with. As we're preparing for this show, we're saying how this is a Power FM reunion. So if you used to listen to Power FM back in the day.
Fine. Oh, for 1434 2020.
You remember?
Good Lord.
Right?
How?
How many times did we say that number?
But if you put me on gunpoint, I wouldn't remember that number.
No,
Yeah.
come on. Maybe the text number.
Really?
That one?
No, that I wouldn't. At least I remember it's all about love.
Yeah. Would
Yeah.
remember the
Music
things.
your mama won't
Yeah.
mind.
So the crew is back. So not all the crew, just a few of them. And we thought we would have a conversation on friendship and how friendship evolves over the years. Here, I think we are mostly over 30. People don't
I think
She-
let's
she
let's
does-
not get
she
into
does-
the
she
matter. Yeah.
This is
We know each other. We've been
Okay.
friends
Yeah.
for a while.
for a while.
That
That's
is
it.
semantics.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
some life experience.
Some life experience.
Yes.
Quite a bit, but yeah.
A little experience. And we are all married, so we have experienced friendship as single people and as married people.
Yeah.
So we want to have a discussion.
But
around
married
that.
to different.
Married.
So, there might be some first
For
time
clarity.
viewers.
Oh, okay. Apologies. Yes.
Cool.
So can you each say something about yourselves and maybe say who your spouse is so that
It's clear.
It is clear.
We'll start with you, Ronnie.
I thought we were saying age going upwards. All right, so Ronnie is my name, Ronnie Havasa. I'm your friend. Simple man, simple profile, been married. I'm clocking 18 years.
Nice.
So
Wow.
hopefully, our marriage is getting into teenagehood.
Adult.
Adulthood actually, yeah. I have
vote.
teenage daughters
Yes.
who are, I don't know what they're eating or feeding on, but yeah, they've all grown almost taller than me. Starting to call me bra, like bra. Because I'm like, hey, please, let's be guys.
No,
Okay?
you're wrong.
Yeah, I met my wife in S2. S2 Blue third term. So
Oh
While we are saying no coupling.
while they were saying no coupling,
No
what
coupling,
me, I was a futuristic. So,
Okay.
yeah. Story for another day, I suppose. Of course, then we started dating about Essex Vax, somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
A few years
And
later.
then, but of course, you have to study work. So we
Oh,
dated for
so.
donkey years and eventually got married about 18 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so happy to be here. Looking forward to this discussion. It's a great reunion. So,
Love it.
yeah, unless you want to
Love
know
it.
more.
We
That's
almost
about it
we,
for now.
we almost forgot we came here to record, so we're banging Kevin like away from the camera until I was like, guys, that time is going to game, and then you'll be like, you all have to go back.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, and
I'll go next. So I'm Emily Rubomboras Ato. I have been married almost 5 years now.
What?
Yes, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and my husband and I met at work. I met him in adulthood. When I was in school, I was studying. Focusing on my book.
Is
That's what
that
they sent me to
so? Is
do.
that so?
Yes.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
I'll be back.
Yeah, and it's really, really good to be here. Friendship is something that is close to my heart and something
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about this year. So this conversation excites me. And generally, as a person, I am passionate about supporting people and growing holistically.
yeah.
So when we're not here,
Yeah.
either work or life, that's the kind of stuff that you'll find me doing.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Guys,
Last
how,
but not
how
least.
do
I feel
you
like
how do you follow that
You should have
intro?
said-
How do you follow that? Like, what do I say about myself? Anyway, David Ogutu. I am married 6 years this month.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Just celebrated your anniversary.
Yes. So 6 years this month. What else do I know? Because now Emily's intro is just thrown me off.
No, there's no template. Be yourself.
Be yourself.
I don't think you want to
But
carry us to be
don't
to be
overdo
ourselves.
yourself. Yeah. You add some.
Add some.
Some information.
Yeah, no, I'm a creative. I have done that for
Donkey years.
donkey years.
Donkey
Worked in
years.
radio, TV, ran a marketing agency. Now I work in investment. in the marketing department of Uganda's only founded investment fund manager, which is called Zenos. That's what I do. In my free time, I watch a lot of TV, listen to a lot of music, ignore a lot of people.
Okay.
As you grow older.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Why have I seen him in a long time?
Yeah, it's very hard to get me out of my bedroom, let alone my house. And then I moved 30 kilometers out of town, so that even makes it much more complicated. But you guys are welcome to Chiwenda whenever you decide that you want to come.
Okay.
I will
cook
you a goat leg when you come.
Proper reunion.
A proper reunion. Yeah.
We will take you up on that.
Absolutely.
So anyway, back to our conversation. Very happy to have you guys. Friendship, like Em said, her and I, we have these conversations a lot. Share memes, share reels, because friendship is very close to, I guess, who we are. But I think everyone needs a friend, right? It's something that we grapple with when we are growing up. In school, you have a best friend, and then the best friend is not quite sure that you're their best friend, so it becomes a bit complicated, and as you grow older, you start to think about friendship differently based on your values and the things that, are close to your heart.
Yeah.
So let's start with, what is your current sense of friendship in this season of your life? What do you think about friendship in this season of your life?
I'll start.
Absolutely.
Because I think this year I've been thinking about this a lot. And if I was to sum up my sentiments about friendship in this season, I think friendship requires a lot of grace because life is happening for everybody. I think that friendship requires a lot of trust. And by trust, I mean assuming that you have my best interests and always extending you the benefit of the doubt. I think the easiest example, although simplistic, I could use is to say, if you WhatsApp me today and I WhatsApp you back at the end of tomorrow, I'd like to think that you will not feel like you've moved the bottom of the pyramid in terms of how I see you as a friend. So that's what I mean about trust. I've also learned to appreciate that it's fluid. I think a concept that I've struggled with a bit, which requires a bit of flexibility. And so to say, like, I haven't seen David in I don't know how long, and I probably haven't seen Ronnie this year. We'll text here and there, right? But if either of them did reach out to me and they were like, "Hey, can you do me a solid?" or "I'd like to, I'd like help with ABCD," I wouldn't get into the semantics of you've thrown me out.
Where have you been? Now that you need me.
Yes.
You left me without a word, and then you say you love me.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think for me, it's so appreciating that fluidity and flexibility.
Yeah.
Which also then can make it complex, right? And then I think lastly is it's seasonal. And by seasonal, I say when you look at your friendship portfolio, that sounds like banking language. But if you look at, say, your friendship portfolio, you have people who you might have known since S1 or high school, right? And are still in life to date. Then there are people you met from church, people you met through work and whatnot. And then some people come in and out. Maybe your kids were in the same kindergarten, you're tight for those 4 years, they fall off, you're not really close. Now you're in the PT of primary school. And does it mean that there are any less of your friends than? Not necessarily, right? So is that seasonal aspect as well? And I think just appreciating like all of that. So I'd say those are kind of my thoughts on how I see it in this season of my life.
The fluidity, do you think it has come because of age, like as you have grown older and wiser? Because I don't think we think about fluidity when we're in like our 20s. If somebody doesn't text you back immediately, I am going to feel some type of way, But as you grow older, I mean, any of you can.
You also have things to, like when you grow, you also have things to do as an adult.
Life starts to seem for you.
But also just like, okay, now I'm going to stress over someone not texting me back. I have other problems.
That comes with maturity, David.
I think it also comes with the things that are competing for your time and your attention.
Fair
Sometimes
point.
it's not just. Sometimes we like to believe that we are mature, but maybe
We are not.
If given a bit more time doing nothing, we might succumb to some of these things. So, but I think what she mentioned about like fluid is important. Like for me, and I think I was mentioning earlier, is I'm a bit of a sojourner, right? So I'll
I
have
think
friends
you want to explain for
Yeah,
anyone
good-
who
good.
has
might
not
not
been.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like
Defined
defined.
as
Like I'm traveling. Like that's how life is. And I'll have friends. Like my wife will say, "Oh, I've known this person since P2, and they're still tight." And I'm just like, I don't have that reality in my life, right? So my friends, there'll be some I'll meet you 10 years later, and we'll catch up, and it will be good and it will be nice. But I
all
am
of
not
them
going
are
to.
from the recent past.
I'm not going to be looking for my P2 friend, right? Because I don't have that kind of thing. And so like my relationships are seasonal, and I'll be very tight with you for the 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Yeah. But as she said, if M picked up the call and said phone and said, I need you here at 8 a.m. We need to do this. Even if I haven't seen her in 5 years,
Yeah.
I will
You're
be
ready
there.
to jam.
And I think that's what friendship is. I think a lot of the either stuff we read, blog posts, book, have put a certain. I mean, the same way they have done with romance, and they've put a certain set of conditions, and those things are important because maybe without them you can let things fall and you're not putting as much attention.
But are they reality?
But yes, so like I think friendship is just knowing that if I need this person or if this person needs me,
I'll be there for
I
them.
will be there for them. And that's no questions asked. As in, sometimes people make a joke, like sometimes someone calls you and says, can I say this on thing? I've murdered someone, and just like, it's okay. I am coming. We shall figure out the rest of the details. We shall figure out the rest of the details later.
Don't talk to anyone else.
That's it. And I think that's what friendship is. That someone calls you in their darkest mood, even when there are things you don't necessarily agree with, but you're going to be like, I'm going to show up, and we shall deal with the consequences of this after we are out of this problem.
Because I'm your friend.
And you can still call them out.
You can call them out, but you sometimes like now's not the time. Now's not the time. Let's get out of this, and then now we shall sit down.
You can be like, bro,
and have a conversation about why you made me carry a body.
Maybe just to chip in. I think great wisdom there. One of my daughters is sanguine, wonder why she gets it from.
I wonder why.
Really wonder
And
where.
you are? Anyway,
Moving on swiftly. And so I remember when she was, 3, 4, she'd introduce, this is my friend. This is my bestest friend. This is my bestest friend.
Okay.
So I'm like, really? What's her name? She's like, doesn't matter details. Her name, what is that?
We cool.
So meet at a party or something, and they just click immediately. And they're playing like they're best friends. And for the next 3 days, she's talking about her. Can we go to Swat? After a week, moving on swiftly, So people come into our lives, I guess, seasons. You have childhood friends. It's all just fun and all of that. Then you start to get into school. There are common denominators that keep you with certain friendships. So, these are school buddies. These are your church folk. Then maybe you're in a sports club or something. And, so there always has to be a sort of common denominator that keeps you with these people. As you start to grow older, I have crossed the 4th floor.
Oh, you
somewhere.
have?
I crossed the 4th floor, on which story I don't even know, almost approaching the centerpiece of the 4th floor. So, at this stage in my life, because when you asked, we're going to meet and talk about friends, I was trying to do an inventory and say, okay, so who are my friends? And I said, who are my friends?
Midlife crisis.
I sort of made the list, but the list was not. I was trying to add. I was like, but So I'm like, who are my friends? She's like, me. I'm like, okay. Friends / wife, blah blah blah. But I realized that when you grow older, the circle gets smaller.
Yeah.
You've had all sorts of friends growing up. and depending on how much you put into the foundation, you know, how much, because if the foundation is cracky, then that friendship is not going to last. But like you guys, I mean, I sat with M every
For
morning.
how many years?
Yeah.
For what, 3-4 years? We had the same driver call at 5 a.m. And 2
She had the same morning trauma.
and I got to see all sides of M. I'll be like, which one is coming today?
Wow.
But because of that, we've had a friendship that has a solid foundation. And so just to reiterate the point you're saying, because of that foundation, I mean, even if she calls after 10 years, there's no, I check on M literally almost twice a year. And there's an actual text I sent, I'm like here's your once in a blue moon. Are you alive? Send proof of life. You still have a husband.
And
any other child on the way, what? Let us know. And that's just enough. And I don't know if she feels I'm not friend enough, or if her friendship tank.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good. And I think what you speak to, and Rachel, we loosely spoke about this earlier, is what allows you to call after 5 years, after 10 years, is the quality and depth of what you had in that season of consistency. And that's where then I guess you draw from, because if you were lousy to someone at a certain time, you also think twice.
But then you have guys like me who, so there's a book I've been reading, Clifton Strengths, and Galp has done a survey. You know, we have, without getting into so much detail, there's a talent or gift, it's called a gift of woo, where you just enjoy meeting new people. First time, and you can hit it off, from 0 to full 100 in the shortest time, you know, just by proximity. We can go out for, I don't know what, maybe a retreat. It's like a week's retreat, and I mean, because we're sitting together or in the same space or what, in that short time, it can seem like, you guys are tight buddies, and
like I've known you all
my life, and you can literally come from that camp completing each other's sentences. Or is that too deep for me to say? I don't know. But you know what I mean. And it's like, who is this new person who is now in your space and all of that? But that's very, very deceitful, because it doesn't have the foundation. And that friendship, you cannot compare to my friendship now with them, who we have had, you know, over time. But at the end of the day, for me, I think I'm just at a point where we've had to be a little more deliberate, because it's no longer just any friend. Who are you allowing into your space? I'm at a certain stage in my life. I'm going a certain direction. This energy is a bit too much. That one is too low. This one here is taking us like this, and so there's only a few guys who have managed to hardline over the years and are in that bracket of what I call friend. The rest, it's very deliberate. The friends who we tie on, like my wife, we need to visit these people, because these people are at another level in life, and we have to literally tie on them. Hi guys, can we check on you? We got a chicken, because as you start to have those conversations, the things they're talking about are next level. They're like, so the apartment block, they're now on the 3rd floor. You're like,
it's like where you want to go.
You're like, and so they stir you up. Whereas I have the other friends on the other side who look at you like, you have arrived. If you surround yourself with those ones, I mean, it's great that your friends, but you
can stay there.
But I think someone once said that you need to have 2 sets of people in your life. You need to have the person who like pulls you up. And you need to have the person who you pull up. Because sometimes the only application of the things you think you know are not with the person who is above you. They are tested here. So you go up, learn all this theory, and then you come and apply it down here. So you need to have someone, and then someone,
So the reason I wanted to have guys on this show is to kind of draw parallels. Like, how do men think about friendship versus how women think about friendship? Because when Emma and I are talking about friendship, we can dissect things and like get into like values and this person, she said this, and I'm feeling, of course it is a lot of work, but for us it works because it then sets the blueprint to the way we see friends. You see that list you are making? When you're asking yourself, who are my friends? There's something you're referring to.
Yeah.
What makes them your friend? You know, that either it's values or it's they were there for you at a difficult time in your life, or maybe you admire something in them, whatever the reference point is. But anyway, do you think that friendship is as important to men as it is to women? And maybe why?
Can I answer? And so I know I'm not a man, but can I say what I think? And then the man can
Please, from your experience as a man, tell us.
From my experience observing the most fantastic man in the world,
You see, adding wife points on
Now you hold this as you talk.
So, but anyway, jokes aside, so I think there's a common misconception that because men approach it differently. It's not important to them, or they don't care about it. I think that maybe what women, and thinking about the conversations you and I, Rachel, have, what some women might do a better job at is because a lot of us are kind of like emotional and we feel, as you mature, you start to think about sort of structures and frameworks to how you approach things, right? Now, it can seem extra and intricate when a man is listening, and so he'd go about it differently, and the only difference is we've just put a language to it.
Yes.
But it's kind of the same thing. I think it's important. I think that when you talk to men, especially who know where they're going and what they're trying to do in life, they start to be very intentional about who they associate with and the company that they keep. The thing that I find men do better than women, that I think I'm learning, is I think men appreciate that there is a place for weak ties and strong ties. I think women lean in more to strong ties, and sometimes when a tie is weak, I guess we deprioritize, or you kind of start to feel like the person doesn't have value in life. But if anything, when you think about it, just go back to COVID, right? When people were not socializing, some of the relationships and conversations people missed were like locker room conversations in the gym, a random conversation in a parking lot. If you go to a particular coffee shop often, certain banter you have with the waiter, waitress, all of those things contribute to how you feel, our needs to interact, connect with the world, etc. Are those your besties? Absolutely not. But can that conversation kick you off a fantastic day? Absolutely. And so I think a guy will go to a sports bar, watch a game, drink a beer, talk to the bartender for a couple of hours that evening, and go home. Fantastic evening. He's not talked about anything stressing him out or whatnot, but he actually feels better. Feels better. His spirits are lifted, engages, and goes to bed. So I think that's the thing that men might do better than women, that I think we can learn from. Because I'm a person that operates largely in depth, but I'm realizing that, it doesn't have to be
always have to be.
If you've been Emily's friend and Emily comes at have you read this book?
Sister M, I'm fine. How are you? Yeah. What is the meaning of life? No, but I'm almost. I don't say the total opposite, and I don't know if I speak now for men or for myself. Yeah,
I can speak for men. I was taking a stab at my thoughts.
But at least as an individual, one thing I've come to accept or as my reality. Yeah, when it comes to friendships, I am great with what's the word? I had a line for it. I am great with
You had to.
The surface and all of that. I honestly
he's the opposite with me.
I suck at intimacy when it starts to go very deep. Yeah,
I guess just back there.
Yeah. I mean, even you remember I would start with like thank yous, like maybe I've done something like Pana, you say, I'm like yeah. Yes, rub it there, I'm good. Yeah, but you're like you came through for me. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. I'm like it's coward, and so. I don't think most men are like that, because I do have guys who want to real talk and they're like, let's talk.
Really?
Yeah, for real. And I'm like, so I'm like, why are you gay? Yeah. And I can see some friends struggling because maybe we've been there for each other or I've come through for you. and maybe they feel they need to reciprocate, and they want to know how am I doing and what, and but those matters of the heart, even I don't know how they are, and
Even you don't know your own heart.
even the Bible says the issues of a man's heart are like deep water, and so it's so when they start to get a bit too mushy for
You're
me,
like, nah.
so. But there are guys who are very in touch with that side, and they're tight. And
I don't know men like
So
that.
this is so affirming.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is.
Oh, because also you don't know how
No, because let me tell you, my wife is the most intentional person.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you live with someone for a long time, you start to compare how they do things.
What's wrong with me?
Exactly. Right? My wife is in 6 groups. She knows how all the 12 people in those groups are doing, who gave birth here, who has done what. Guys, sometimes I don't even know where my friends are. Like, are they in the country or are they not? And sometimes you can feel like you're not.
There's something wrong with you.
You're really not being a good
You're
person.
not being a good person, yes. But I think the realization I've come with, like, male friendships can be very contextual. And I think that's the thing that people sometimes it's difficult to understand.
Yeah.
Ronnie can be my money friend.
Exactly.
As in, I share nothing else with Ronnie apart from we know how to make money together.
Okay.
Right? And
very true.
And he doesn't.
That's the driving force of our friendship.
He doesn't have to know about my marriage. He doesn't have to, we don't. When we meet with Ronnie, we're only talking money. There are friends who know, okay, these are like their family friends, they know about you, they know about your kids, and they're very, and I think maybe it's understandable, but I think women's friendships are a lot more broad in that, like, when someone is a friend in your life, they'll know about your money, your name, all this, they'll know about all these things. Like, men, our friendships are little boxes.
Makes sense.
You put it there,
put it
because
in
men have boxes, and sometimes the boxes don't even have to touch. Yeah, women, it's spaghetti. Everything touches.
It gotta be spaghetti.
Yeah. And so she didn't text back. I mean, I have friends in the box whose names I don't know. Yeah, Chief, bro. Yeah. It's like, and you can have an evening and
you know, Chief.
Bro.
Cool, bro.
My wife does it a lot. Someone comes and we talk for 15 minutes. Nice, deep. I know where I have seen you. We know
but
what
I
to
don't
share.
know your name.
When he leaves, that's what's his name. I'm like, I have.
Yeah. But then they're also deep friends. They're friends who, I mean, there are also issues of the heart. Let me not sound like we are heartless or don't have, or, who you can talk to about family, about kids, about your wife, and all of that. And those are there.
About
that box is not very,
it's not very
you have
big.
to, who you can just meet and you've had permission to just jump straight into. Yeah.
Then they also silent things. The ones where I'm having a bad day, I will call Ronnie. We do not have to talk about anything. We shall sit, have a drink. Yeah. Sometimes it can even be in total silence. At the end of 45 minutes, guys, like, you're Kawa, I'm Kawa. Let's go. And that is it. The person doesn't need to interrogate. Simanya, how you they just know this guy needs to have a drink. Period.
How do you do that?
I guess maybe that's a mystery.
It is.
Really, yeah, and I guess that's a mystery. And I don't think it's I don't think it's a gender thing, though we might find more women are one way and
biased towards that.
And just in case anyone's watching and now she's kind of feeling like, so I'm like a guy.
I'm like a girl.
Yeah. But I think it's more of like a personality thing. Yeah. I think also friendship is as different as they are human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
And so, whereas one person might want depth and intricacy in every association, one person might not necessarily want it and might need it in 2 out of 10. Yeah. Someone else might need it in 8 out of 10. Yeah. And I think it's also then getting to that point as an individual to have a bit of clarity on what's important to you, on what you need, but also objectively assess the people in your life and don't require of people what you know they can't give. So, for example, I've dealt with Ronnie, and I know that, that whole heart of the matter thing is not his MO, right? And so if we're chatting often, like, to then know that absolutely he'll be there for me, he's an encourager, we'll talk about things, he'll brainstorm, but like...
Hypothetically speaking.
Yes.
So many
asking for a friend.
Speaking, that's asking for a friend.
But appreciating that getting into that place frequently is uncomfortable for them. And not because they don't care about you.
Yeah.
They're just wired differently.
What if that person is your spouse? I want us to talk about how friendship changes when you get married.
Telephone to Jesus.
But
anyway,
maybe just before we get into the
Yeah.
spouse thing, I think just to qualify, whereas for men, this is how the modus operandi seems to be, it is not the ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think some work has to be done. Yeah.
And
Because the way Em was
I'm
talking
so
about her friend, it's like she sounds like she has a ledger. Like they make entries at the end of the day. Now, no. He has been 2 steps down in the pyramid because and going to really has come through from. I think as men, if we can be a little more intentional, and like I said, that's what I've been doing now. To say, okay, so because I said you are the running average of the 5 or 10 people you spend most of your time with. Yeah. If I've been hanging with Eki too long, there are things I start to do, to say, to what, because you start to think like that. There are guys who I hang out with, and I'm like, I'm overspending. Let me not, let me what, So there has to be some intentionality, and that's why you hear. I mean, men were struggling with mental health issues. What we never talk, we keep it surface. Well, Nateta and Arsenal trust the process. If we just take it just a notch deeper and just get a little more intentional and say, so who are my friends? What are they my friends for? Who do I need to drop? I think so and so is having a bit of bad influence on me, and who do I need to tie on? The quality of your friendship actually gets more meaningful.
That's true.
So I think before, like when you talk about depth, I think there is an inclination with the world right now to make everything homogeneous, right? So I mean, let's just go mental health, for example, right? If a man is having a mental health problem, people are beginning to find that having them sit on a couch and talk to someone about it is probably not the best way to do it.
Okay.
Right? Whereas if you took them to, I don't know, if he's a running guy, then you go run,
rafting,
or
exactly,
because like men work. Okay, maybe that's an overgeneration, but a lot of men work their stuff out through like active participation,
not
right?
sitting,
not sitting and talking about that. And I think there needs to be a realization that what the outlet of friendship is different for both.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, because the outlets are different, a lot of people assume that the outlets are not that deep. Right? Because I don't sit and talk to someone for hours or talk about my feelings or things like that, but assume that they are not that deep. But like again, what's the real judge of that depth?
What's deep? Yes.
Exactly. The real judge of that depth is the person there when you need them.
Yeah.
I think that's the real. You can talk to someone for hours, and then you're just KB for their
with the crux of the matter. They're like,
exactly. But you talk to someone for hours, exactly. You talk to them, and my problems, and I need 3 million. They're like, because you've wasted 3 hours of your time, right? And yet,
as the guy in
my friendships, I will know exactly who I go to for money. I will know exactly who I go to when I want to rant about my wife. You get? I will know exactly where those things are fulfilled. And sometimes
and it's also a system, it works.
Sometimes because the relationship of money is not deep and conversational, people assume that is not your friend. Which is, I think, we need to create a more varied way of looking at what depth is.
I really like the idea of context for relationships. And I think if you think about it, even women, we have context. It's just that I think certain things, because you're unlearning the principles of friendship, you feel like this person who is my friend, and maybe I got to talk to them about business or mentorship or whatever, should know something about my life. Like, it doesn't make sense that they are just there and I talk to them. Then maybe when I'm counting my friends, I may not count them. Because for me, friendship means you know things about my life. You know my intimate.
You have a few of my secrets.
Yes. Yeah, of course, as I grow older now, maybe not secrets. Yeah, but I can be vulnerable with you. I
Yeah.
think that's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
for. But I really like the idea of context. And as I grow older, I think I'm going to be okay to have friendships as this person is my friend because we talk nicely about content creation.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You
And
like
that's
their
okay.
sense of style, and
Yeah,
so you're
and
tying
that's
on them
it.
for what? I
Yes,
need
Yeah.
a plan for those
yes,
steppers. I need what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're cool.
Yeah.
Been
You know?
matters
And you
of the
get
heart.
to and you get to define what depth is
Yeah.
for you,
For you,
as well.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Because depth for me is different from what it is for you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because we're all different.
Yeah.
We're wired differently.
Yeah.
We're looking for different things,
Yeah.
etc. And
Yeah.
so
And you
that's
probably can only have a handful of friends
Depth,
who you
yeah.
can go to a certain
absolutely.
depth.
No,
You can't be
absolutely.
deep with everyone.
Even
Yeah?
that's true.
So
Yeah.
I think you can't. 4 is enough.
Yeah.
Maximum.
To the
Even in the
to
Bible,
one.
even in the Bible, there was a dude who was dying, and his friends were like, "We are taking this man to the master."
Yeah.
Or come what
They
may.
were for,
When the place was full, they're like, "We are tearing up the
The
roof,"
roof.
Yeah.
and they carried him down, and
Yeah.
you just need those 4
Those guys might not have known what you were sick of.
They didn't even know. Yeah, they're like,
It's
one
matter.
called and said, "Gunya into what?"
Himo mituje.
Now
We are going
listen,
up on the
I
roof.
might need to organize these people for you. So you
Yeah.
wanted to
I
ask
wanted to
us
ask
about
about
marriage.
marriage.
Yeah,
Yes, I
because
asked
you
my
know my
question.
people here are unruly.
Now
They are
you bring
entering
in-
rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Mm.
I've brought them back. I brought them
Thank
back.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
how does marriage change the way we view friendship? And I want you to speak to it in. So how is friendship in your camps? How are you
Are
guys?
you talking about friendship with our partners or friendship
we
of
can
how
s-
relationships have how our friendships have changed since we have
being
been married?
There
Yes.
are many
Okay.
facets.
We
will
need
get
to be
there,
clear.
Yeah. Start with friendship with your spouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now me who met her in S2. I had
Yeah.
Foundation
it's
is
not like
strong.
we're dating. Foundation.
You have seen each other with bald heads.
unshakable,
French cuts, hair.
Yeah. So, and I think some of the greatest advice I got, if you're going to get married, marry your best friend. Yeah. Marriage is tough as it is. And there'll be challenges. Sometimes you're fighting, but you fall back on a friendship, and that's great. But suffice it to say, although we're friends, we're different. The way we operate and what. I told you I'm a little more surface. I'm cracking with everyone here. Some of the hardest conversations we had, I think we're dating. I have to be like, talk to me from the heart.
Oh dear.
I said, what?
All these words I've been saying have been coming from
We have been talking. Hey, then she's like, talk to me. I'm like, honey, what
have
have
we
we been doing? Yeah. She's like, talk to me. And then I organize myself like a hustle.
Like
From
now.
that.
Now what does she mean? I need to say deep things. I need to have a bed with your baby. And so it became a challenge. Yeah. Talk to me from there. But I'm talking. Talk to me from there. So one day I just lost it. Yeah. In the middle of that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sick and tired of this. Talk to me from there. Now, in the middle of my rant, from the peripheral view, I could see, and she was just smiling. And I was like, and why are you smiling? She was like, wow. Yeah? You've talked. I'm like, what? I'm like, but I think over time I said to learn, yeah? Because she told me, I'm not one of your clients. Or you're not MC. Yeah? I'm here, talk to me.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, maybe I guess I've
sure
gone
you
through
have.
that journey. And there had to be that, understanding. And then we have all sorts of different friends.
Yeah.
We'll get to that part of the conversation,
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
later. And like, but that one, who's that friend? What account is over?
Eh.
Oh my gosh,
Those sisters who used to argue at church. Even me, I used to wonder and I wasn't your wife.
Even them we used to wonder. It was just my co-presenter
Yes,
getting
yes.
in my business, But and one of the questions that asked us earlier before the show was, so have there been friends who've had to sacrifice for the sake of the marriage?
For the sake of the marriage, yes.
We shall answer.
We shall
after.
answer.
Let us first answer this
B.
level part B. Part A.
Okay.
Over
I
to you.
think so. Mine hasn't been as lengthy and complex. we met as adults. We were mature.
You knew what you wanted.
We knew what we wanted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think before we started to officially date, we just had a very healthy thought-provoking. We're very cerebral, I think, as people. So for me, mental stimulation is so critical. And my husband, my husband and I just very easily talk about anything and nothing. And over time, so even as we started to date, and now that friendship has gotten only stronger. I also think that we generally have a good time. I was talking to a friend the other day, and we're just talking about date night frequency, and she was saying how, hey, you guys do date night a lot. And she's like, oh, is it a thing? Is it a thing that you institute? Is it a thing? And I'm like, you know what? We just enjoy hanging out. We enjoy hanging out, and after a long week, I just want a banquet be about anything and nothing. The part or the place that has definitely been, I guess, an area of growth that kudos he now is excellent at is because of how I am, and I talk about things, and I talk about how I feel, and the way that I reflect and process things. On the onset, it was a lot, right? So you're talking about something, and
he wants to fix it. Just to do this.
And then I'm like, no.
I'm
like, we're not problem solving.
We're just.
I'm walking you through the things that I'm thinking about. And then you could kind of see him being like, okay, so what am I supposed to? Yeah, because he's like, I'm hearing concerns. I want to give you solutions, and I'm like, no. And I mean, sometimes when I'm sharing, it's not even because I want him to do anything. It's just, for me, part of building intimacy is giving you an accurate sense of where my heart is. Yes. And in a strange way, and maybe it's where men and women are different, for me, that can be foreplay. Right? So connecting like that intimately can then make physical intimacy.
Talk from the heart.
That's the one you understand. The result is the output at the end.
There's a papa.
No one ever told us about that output.
This can be foreplay. Listen, just listen. How did that make you feel? Really? How about Bazibo? And you're like,
Now let us go and solve. But yeah, so I think the thing that I really had to work on was understanding myself, and then helping him understand what my expectation was as I was unpacking different things. And then once he understood that, we were able to navigate that quite well. And so even if it's not necessarily his default, he's able to engage in that place. And for me, I think that's like a fair compromise as well, because I appreciate that men are wired differently. So, and I don't know if I also want him to live there, because you also want
like some commercial.
You want a Timan ban around.
So you want him to like empathize, but then also be like, I got this, and I feel like over the years he's gotten a good sense of that, and just trying to figure out how to support me. And then sometimes when he feels defeated, he's like, man, can I call a friend? Like, in your pool.
Who wants to be a millionaire? Call a friend.
It's like, let me sit up.
But the key word there you've said is overtime. People shouldn't feel pressure, especially you just gotten married, The start of it's a roller coaster. It's like the sea at the top, the waves are all bashing. When you go down, there's fish down there swimming calm and like us, we're at the stage now. For example, we were talking about we have quarreled all our quarrels. There are things that are not going to change. So there's no more over And I know her needs as a lady. She needs to talk and all of that. And so sometimes she'll just call and say, "Can you imagine?" I'm like,
let me sit down.
I'm like, this
might take a while.
Audio. And after she's like, "Okay, bye." Her tank is full. And I start to now enjoy it because I know how to do it. I know what she needs, and so over time you mature and learn how to
navigate the ropes.
Those.
I think there's an interesting transition that, at least for me, is when I was dating my wife and when I married her. So the person I was dating and the person I was married to are not necessarily the same. And I think the realization is that there's this ongoing thing that happens with your friendship, right? When you say I do, the questions become tougher. Before Before there, you were, the questions were, there are things they would let you get away with.
Yes.
Now you're like, no. We are going to talk about that. And you're like, but why?
Yeah.
And I think some of us, I think the thing that I struggled with is there was an expectation that the person I dated
would continue to be your wife.
Yeah. So when those changes happened, it has to. I think some of them haven't even gotten
been resolved.
And I think that's the realization that relationship is it moves and morphs. I think we were joking earlier that I don't know if it was you or someone else, but we're talking about how some people come and say, "But you're not the person I married," right? With the realization, but things you go through life with you met, you are poor. Now you have some money. You met, as in like you're. A lot of things about your life. There has been loss, there has been gain, there has been all those things, and people transform. But sometimes I think as people who are relating is because we find comfort in the static, like knowing how things are and always will be. We try to have it like that, and I think there needs to be an acceptance of it's like this today. It might be completely different tomorrow. Today she likes yellow. You're going to go and buy something yellow, and then you're going to go and realize, wait, the color has changed.
Yellow has many hues. Yellow.
Just being comfortable with that transition. I think that's because, like, even for example, something like loss. Something like loss changes you drastically.
Absolutely.
And now we are in the age of our lives where we are losing people who are close to us. And then you start to realize that. So a couple of years ago, I lost my brother. And then you start to realize that changes you in ways you could have never imagined.
You didn't anticipate what
you didn't anticipate,
have on you.
but it also changes your relationship with the people in your life. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, and things like that. And I think being okay with, okay, this happened, it has morphed like this. Am I willing to live with this morph or not? If it's not too drastic and too damaging, and it's just like new day, new you.
We move. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Soldier on.
So is it realistic to expect your spouse to be your best friend? And I know you. Okay. You alluded to it.
I think it should.
I think maybe let's define.
I
think that might be where the problem is. What is a best friend?
Why are you asking me?
You are not asking the question. You're sure.
Okay, gentlemen.
I think M will help with the definition. Well, that's it from us for part 1. Come back to the Good Wife podcast to watch part 2 of this conversation on friendship with David Ogutu, Emily Rubombora Sato, and Ronnie Habasa. If you've enjoyed the conversation, leave us a comment and we'll see you again here for part 2.